There we go. So now everything should be working perfectly.
Yay!
So, today we are going to be talking about some weird convention stories. So, if you've never been to a convention, sometimes they can be, for lack of a better word, interesting. And we're going to kind of talk about some of those today, as well as just general Anime Expo related things. So I have a special guest here with me today. Her name is CherryGuts, and is that what you go by, like for
Yeah, call
everything?
me Cherry, Guts, whatever. I don't care too much.
Okay, and and I understand that you have a lot of very interesting stories to share with us, at least for conventions that have a lot of very interesting people at them. So go ahead and share those with me if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've only been to two conventions. One was Anime Expo years and years ago, and then the other one was a My Little Pony convention in Anaheim, California. I just want to note that this was during the peak of when My Little Pony was super popular, and it wasn't as cringy to be a fan of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I got invited by a couple of old friends to go to this My Little Pony convention. We were all fans of it, super excited to go. And I would like to note that we were all about 15-year-old girls going to a My Little Pony convention. And let me think, I'm just trying to, because it was, I feel so old talking about this. It was not a long time ago, but it was 2014, 2013, 2014, I like to say.
So it was a
And
way long time ago.
yeah, like I said, it was during when My Little Pony was popular in culture. It was a little bit normy to like My Little Pony if you were into fandoms, but now it's just very degenerate if you don't like or if you like My Little Pony.
Yeah, it's different. It's different now.
It's changed.
Yeah, it's a much different landscape. Is now we have Source Filmmaker, Source Filmmaker, My Little Pony edits, and I'll just say if you go looking for them on certain websites, you'll find them, and they're very interesting.
Oof. So we got to the convention and everything kind of seemed normal and fine. We weren't totally alone. One of my friend's moms came along. And I think we got there, the convention actually hadn't started yet. We just got there early, got our badges, signed up, and we were just sitting around the lobby. And now the layout of the con, it was a section of a hotel, and there was only two places you could really go to. There was the arts, uh, is it, what are they called at the art?
Yeah,
Like,
the Artist Alley.
yeah, artist alley, and then a panel, and they would switch out the guests with like a certain. Sorry, I can't talk. They would switch out guests in this one room where they were holding panels. So my friends and I were kind of waiting there, and we started to see the special fans kind of trickle into the con. And when I mean special, I mean about there was a 6'6", maybe 6'7", tall ass, hairy guy who had a beard down almost to his belly and hair just about the same length, wearing Fluttershy wings, and I think he had a Fluttershy shirt as well. He also had socks that went up to his knees. He was wearing shorts, and he went along with some other friends who were about chubby, fat neckbeard guys. But he just was very odd, kind of standing there. So we kind of so after the con opened, we were doing fine, la di da di da, and we were in. I think we were in the artist alley at some point, and I excused myself to go use the restroom. And I can't remember. I think the restrooms were in a different. You had to leave the con to go use the restrooms. It was a very strange layout. I can't remember the hotel, Now that I'm talking about it, I think there was a furry con being held as well.
Oh
So
boy, so he had both
yeah,
the best of both worlds apparently.
there was some kind of convention, like a furry convention going on. Because I remember we were the hotel was or the hotel had a restaurant, and later I went to go eat with some friends there, and I just see this rainbow ass wolf fursuit just come walking across the lobby, along with I think some I can't remember. It was I don't know. It was someone wearing the fursuit hands and arm leggings. It wasn't a fursuit, but it I don't. It was probably like one of those detachable ones where you just have the arms and legs, and then you wear the hat, so you can wear normie clothes.
Yes, I've unfortunately seen the furries that they don't wear the full fursuit, but they wear just like the I hate having to talk about it, but they wear like the paws and like the helmet, but they don't wear
Oh
like
yeah.
anything else besides like the tail. But there's like no body, like there's no torso or anything. It's just the paws on their hands and feet, and then the tail and the hat. Like that's about it. And it's unfortunate because I was actually caught on camera um, looking at these degenerates slap fight in front of me with their squeaky toys.
What?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. It was like a couple of months. I see that's how old I am, is I have to consider the months as a long time. But so I went to a convention just recently where it was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I I don't know why, but there was there was a furry girl that was like running around, pretty much just showing everybody like her squeaky toy, but she never talked the whole time. She never spoke. She never said a word. She would just she would just run around squeaking her fucking toy the whole time. So what ultimately happened was we had we had the one guy come through. He was pretty much just recording stuff. The CBS guy. The video is out there, and you can see me in it. I'll show it to you here on stream. This is kind of like a weird. I don't know how quite to describe it, but here's the video clip. So everybody that's wondering, it's literally in this clip. So there was the two furries. One of them had like red fur stuff on, and then there was another one with like brown furry stuff. And she was going through the entire convention, squeaking her little like hand paw thing. It sucked. This is them right here in this video clip. I don't know if you're watching the stream, but it's right there.
It sounds nightmarish. I can't imagine just being at a con and then from the far distance you hear some squeak toy and it comes closer and closer and closer, and then it's just a bunch of morons. Ugh.
Here, let me see if I can like go back so that way you guys can get the full effect of this cringe fest here. So this is the convention, and those are the two furries right there. They were, doing their little yiffing, if you will. And there's a very disappointed me leaning against the ATM watching this degeneracy happen in front of me. And I saw the guy recording, and I could not anymore.
I'm trying to find it. Oh shit, did I
It was
disconnect?
bad. It was no, you're fine. It's that convention. It hurt. What is yiffing? You're asking the wrong person. I assume that's where they make those weird sounds or something like they kind of like a ooh woo, but not so. Ooh woos are acceptable. It's just it's just like I don't know. I don't know how would one describe yiffing.
I don't think you can describe yiffing other than it's something special.
Special is the word we use. Okay.
I
Yeah, I
just
can see that.
it's see I've been kind of thinking about conventions, and I mean, I don't think it's entirely, or once you really think about it, it's almost you expect strange things to happen at cons because you have a place where you're having sort of a niche fandom with a bunch of people who are really into niche fandom come, and you're going to run into, of course, socially awkward people who don't know how to be in a social function because they stay at home, they're introverted, they're just not really aware. And I feel like things just anime, My Little Pony, furries, it's going to attract people who aren't exactly right in their mind. I mean, I think you could say that with almost anything, but I feel it happens more at cons because, for example, anime cons and girls wearing revealing clothing and then get like upskirt pictures of them because that's what happens in anime and people want to be like an anime protagonist and do shit like that.
Yeah, and so there was I'm sure you guys, if you've kept up with anything that's on Twitter, Smug was arguing with the furries. I think it was last week or the week before. Time goes by. It's literally it's here for a second and then it's gone the next. So Smug was arguing with the furries and how they were upset. I think it was at another convention. I think it was just recently. It was the one that was um, in Illinois. I can't remember. It's one in Chicago. But what happened was there was one spot where this furry was very upset at these words on these hats. They're cringy hats. Don't get me wrong, but they're pretty
Oh,
normal.
yeah.
Yeah, those hats. So they were very upset about that. So if we wanted to take their logic and kind of use that, because this is also kind of like a weird convention story, they would take those hats and they would use that as a gotcha moment for the anime convention that they chose to go to. But I could also do the same by going to the one furry, like where they have like this one shop where they sell nothing but like the tails and furry paraphernalia. That's pretty much it. Like you could just go based off of that and say, well, look at these furry degenerates. They obviously love things up their ass because they have these tails. Like it's almost the same thing. I don't see how they tried to get that leg up, but I've seen many furries. Some of them are I use the word lightly, but some of them are normal ish, if you catch my drift.
Ish, yeah.
Like there's ones that are like there's furries that are very normal and they're very self-aware and they want to self-police the furry community, and then there's others like the ones that we saw last night that unfortunately post pictures of themselves, well, not of themselves but of their pets in a if
Yeah,
you know where
I,
I'm going with
I
that,
exactly
unfortunately.
know what you're talking about. It's horrible. But I feel like one thing that the furry community, I feel it's not even aware. There's no self awareness. Is that a lot of what's in the furry fandom is very sexual. There's a lot of fetishes that tie into being with a furry more so than being with an anime fan. So that's why, like, Rainforest, all the diaper crap that was going on, the bathrooms flooding, vandalism, and then all the hotels in that portion of the state not allowing this convention to happen. You don't hear that with anime conventions at all. I mean,
Or
probably
very
the
few.
yeah. I was gonna say the only bad anime convention I know is Anime Matsuri because that's a whole other road I don't want to go on. But
Yeah, fair enough. It's
it's
there's actually one that I went to a couple of months ago as well. It was like right after Comic Con, and it was MTAC, Middle Tennessee Anime Convention. By the way, I would not recommend you go because the last time that I went, it was very small. It was smaller than I thought it was going to be. But small
yeah.
conventions don't really bother me. I'm just like, I'll go, and it's more for the experience. And if you go with people, it's fine. So the convention, besides being very small, you were stuck outside in the cold rain waiting to get into a very small dealer's room. And the dealer's room's not a lot of stuff in there. On top of the fact that it was super crowded in this small, like, hotel that they thought was big enough for all of these people. So, MTech apparently used to be in downtown Nashville instead of close to the airport, which is what I've always heard. So this guy that I was sitting next to, unfortunately, decided to let me in on the trader secret of why they were no longer in any of the convention centers in downtown Nashville. And it's because apparently there was a lot of bad shit happening there. Like not so much on the level of furries, but kind of on the level of like there was just not a lot of cleanliness and there was a lot of
Oh,
drugs going around, that kind of stuff.
oh God.
So it really was just not a good time, and that's why they got kind of kicked out of that spot, and they were like, well, you're gonna have to take this somewhere else, and they took it to close to the airport, and so they hosted it at two different hotels, and just you know what, I think this needs some visual representation of exactly why it was so bad, because me explaining it is just like you know, radio, but if you actually see the entire journey of what I had to endure, it was actually a lot more what's the word I'm looking for, it was a lot more real than I would have liked it to have been. So
I wish,
here it is
I,
right here.
I wish I was able to find all these old pictures of. I think I still have a bunch of stuff at my mom's house back in California. I still have the poster of the My Little Pony convention hanging up in my room. I don't remember the name of it, but I think it was 2013, I want to believe, and it took place in Anaheim, right by Disneyland.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I'm kind of going based off of what I can see on a map, but I have very little knowledge of where that is.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you where it was because I don't remember, and I think we got lost at one point trying to get to the hotel because it was in a kind of weird place. Because when you're in Anaheim, especially when you get close to Disneyland, there's nothing but hotels and restaurants and motels, and a lot of seedy looking places. I think also by Disneyland, there's also Knott's Berry Farm, so you're gonna it's pretty much Hotelville for families trying to go to either theme park.
Yeah, that would make sense. So here on the stream, this is I'm gonna show you guys. So this is the other hotel right here, the Embassy Suites, and the main part of the convention was here at the Sheraton Music City Hotel. So as you can see, there's parking right here, all through this thing right here. You could not park here unless you stayed at the hotel. All right, fine. The same thing applied to over here at this hotel. Couldn't park there, and like I think most of this other spot where, like this picture is pretty old, but where most of this is just still like empty, or it's all just like you know parking stuff. But all of that was full. And imagine that you're going there with thousands of people, and you need a parking spot for all thousands of those people. The closest parking lot was this one right here at this company. I don't have any idea what it is, but this was all full, this entire spot. And so you're probably wondering, well, where else in the hell are you supposed to park? Well, you can park at this other building. I guess this is like it tells you the names of the places, but this was all full, but they had it cut off like I think right around here, so you couldn't park all the way down. And then the only other spot was right here. This was like the closest one that you could get to because the other one you like no one drove all the way around.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so this spot right here is where I had to park at. And this is where I lost one of my car keys, and thankfully I had a backup, so it was fine. But you had to park at any of those locations and then walk to the hotel. And they had a shuttle that went between both of those hotels, but only to those two hotels. But they never took you to where you were parked or like to the actual like area, so that way you could just kind of generally walk there. You had to walk in the cold rain up this hill to get to this part of the convention.
That's miserable.
And this part, so imagine like this whole picture is just kind of like it's sunny because that's how all of them look, but there's this overhang right here, this port. That's where most of the people stood to get in line to go into this other door that's like right over here, this terribly modeled door. And you had to stay out there in the rain. So on your way there, they had some tarp hanging over, but that kind of didn't stop the rain because obviously the wind blowing on top of the cold just did not help. It,
You
it
would
was it was bad.
you would think they have a better idea of what to do during the rain, but mm,
Oh no, of course not. Because like you could even go on the inside to stand inside to like get to any of that. You had to go out on the outside. And there were two separate lines. And that one being the most important one got you to the bigger dealer's room. The other one was just like you could just kind of walk in and go through it, not a big deal. But you also had to go outside to get to it. You could not go inside to stand in line. You couldn't do any of that. That was the worst convention I think I've ever been to. It was the most convoluted process to even go outside and get your tickets because you had to go all the way around the hotel, right around to this side, and you had to stand and walk in a line all the way till you got to the inside that led to the line that would get you into the dealer's room. And that was just to pick up tickets. It's unfortunate.
they
Yeah,
it just
it was
seems
bad.
like they're doing anything at this point to try to make money. They didn't care how they, sorry, I have to push the talk, but they didn't care how like anything was set up. They just like I feel like there's probably a lot more shady stuff going on, and it probably or I don't. Sorry, I
Yeah,
lost my
it's
train
fine.
of thought.
No, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
If I can remember where I was, where what I was going to do with my point. Never mind. Uh, I lost it. I'm sorry.
you're fine. Trust me, it's okay. So there's um there's a couple of other stories that I have. Particularly when I went to the other anime convention all the way in New Orleans. It's called MechaCon. MechaCon was actually one of my favorite conventions to go to. Um, I think it was one of the better put together like conventions you could go to be honest with you. Now, the weather outside, not so much. The weather outside was, of course you're in the deep south, but it's very humid. And I think it had rained like the day that I got there, so it was just kind of like,
Oh God.
so yeah, but everything was inside, so that was the good part about it. You were inside, you didn't have to worry about like any rain or so much the heat unless you had to go through like a walkway, which wasn't even that bad. But the convention itself was it was fun. I don't think that there was anything too bad that happened. If I had to guess, the only thing that I can truly remember is in the convention center itself when everybody was getting ready to leave. If you guys want to see what the layout is, it is this picture. It's this. I just pull everything up on Google Maps because that's how things work here. But there's this parking garage where you could go in, leave all your stuff closed. I actually left my trunk open. I probably hit the button. It's just like, oh well, whatever. But I don't keep anything in my car anyway, so good luck robbing me. Um, but on your way to the elevators to get to this parking garage, people were obviously leaving that Sunday. Perfectly normal. The problem was that some girl, I don't know who, just somebody, they dropped underwear on the floor. And you'd figure, okay, well, they probably just overpacked their suitcase or something. That was probably the case, but the underwear was dirty. So there were,
Oh.
there were stains on the panties. And oh man, I'll never be able to like cleanse my brain from that. It's one of those things that you just cannot unsee. It's it's bad. That's that's the only way I can really describe it is you just see dirty underwear in the hallway to these elevators. It was
It was a warning sign.
you know something was happening there. That's all I can say. I remember the first night that we got to MechaCon. There's a hotel that is directly across from the other one. They're still connected. It's the same thing, but I remember kind of like looking out of the windows to see what people were watching on TV because obviously you're at an anime convention. You want to see what these people are watching on their TVs. People in the Discord know this. Um, I I went to look at this one window and I just see like people in there and I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. And they were in the window. Like they didn't close the blinds or anything. They just straight up open, having sex in the hotel room. And they didn't care.
Was
They
to assert dominance.
yeah, they were having sex in the hotel room, which, you know, to each their own, do what you do. It's fine. But they left the blinds open so anyone could see in, and like they kind of hurried up and finished before their roommates got there. They were staying with people.
Oh
so
god.
so take with that what you will. They were they were having a good time, needless to say. At least they were using protection, and the reason I know that is because I went to like the little there's like a little corner store that's inside of the convention center, and they have a couple of things. So I went down there for some drinks, and there were some weebs standing in a line, and a lot of them were buying Trojan condoms from this corner store. Um,
Hey, at least they're having safe sex,
yeah, they're
so
having safe sex, and you
yeah.
can't be mad at that. Come on.
I mean, at least we're a little bit better once again with the furries.
Yeah, there wasn't any STD stations that I noticed. Like they didn't run out of supplies, and I don't think that they ever had them. But you know,
I mean, it's not inherently a bad thing to have that kind of testing at cons because cons is where a lot of sexual activity can happen for I don't know why. I want to look into why people get all hammered and frisky during cons, but
it's because they're around
once
people
again,
of their own. I
yeah.
would assume, like they essentially get around people that are into the same things that they are, and you know they mingle. I'm sure, and they think that it's a good time. I mean, to be fair, when I get to Anime Expo, I plan on being high as shit and also pretty drunk most of the convention. But there are some panels that I want to check out because I never go to panels. I'm not that much of a weeb. I just kind of go for the festivities of drinking. That's all it really is to me.
Yeah. Panels are fun. The only panel I've been to, it was actually at My Little Pony Con. It was about script writing, which was actually very interesting. And it had the script writers of My Little Pony, and they just were explaining how to write a script, how to get into the business, how to develop the characters, and how to make sure you retain the personalities of the characters and not stray too far, and how to write. It was a very informative con, or not a con, panel, and it's probably the only good thing that came out of that cursed convention.
Cursed.
It really was cursed because I think they had the voice actors as well. I didn't go to it because I just I'm not a crowd person, and I knew the panel would be very crowded when the especially with Tara Strong coming out. So I kind of just chilled in the lobby. I made a couple of friends that I introduced to my other friends, and that's how we went down the stairs to the lobby to go to the restaurant and came across some people with furries. Now I think now that I think about it, there I don't think there was a con going. I think people dressed up as furries to go to the My Little Pony convention.
That wouldn't surprise me, not in the slightest, to be honest.
There was a My Little Pony fursuit, but it wasn't really a fursuit. It was more I'm not sure what they're called. The Japanese do it, but essentially it's kind of like a doll head, but it was in the shape of Twilight Sparkle and it was purple. Had the hair and the ears, but then it just had human looking hands. They just put like I think body paint on their hands. They were wearing a dress. They had a tail, and then they were wearing these hoof kind of shoes.
That
And
sounds awful and cursed.
it really was kind of cursed. There was some interesting cosplays, and then there was shit like that, and then people, and then like fat neckbeard men wearing the like a unicorn headband or Pegasus wings or both. And then I think I'm trying to remember. we were the con was also right by emergency exits, so there was people sitting by the emergency exits, and the head of the con, I want to assume, kind of came out and said, "Hey, we're not supposed to, or you guys are not supposed to be sitting there. If you could please move, blah blah blah." And the head of the con was exactly what you think he is: a fat neckbeard wearing a fedora.
Oh boy, he was wearing the fedora like like when he was there telling them to get out of the way.
Pretty much so, yeah. He had some kind of black suit on, making himself look pretty smart because, head of the My Little Pony convention, you gotta look your best. And on his fedora, I think he had My Little Pony pins because there was, or not, yeah, it was pins, and then he had a couple of buttons on his shirt. But the thing I remember the most is that he was very short. He was, I,
Oh,
I was, I'm a, I'm tall. I'm about 5'6", 5'7", and I was taller than him. I would say he's about the size of my sister, and she's 5'2".
oh, oh. Well, the bright side is at least he's a nice guy? Question mark. I guess.
Question mark? I don't know. I I remember the name of the con. It was called Equestria LA, and
Equestria, LA. Now I gotta.
yeah,
Now I have to look this up because now you got my interest peaked here.
I found a Yelp page, and it has 2.5 out of 5 stars, and there's, I think, about 233 reviews.
Oh, Equestria, LA. Boy, there's a lot of stuff here. They even have a Twitter page. Oh, jeez. Oh, Jesus. This is a lot. This is a lot to process here. Oh, oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. There's, there's a lot here. Why does My Little Pony have such a following? I know this is like, I don't, I don't know. I don't know how to, like, what do I say to this? What do I say to this now, knowing what we know about My Little Pony, and the fact that there are some people that keep My Little Pony figures inside of cum jars, because
No.
that's a very real thing. How do how do you go to a convention like this nowadays? Like, let's say, okay, before it was fine, but let's say that you go there now. How do you process this? Like,
I
it,
feel like even though the fandoms die down quite a bit, there still is a fandom, and I it's still fairly popular. I want to say, but not as popular as it was before. And I think there's just, I think people might just be ironically into it, like they just do it for the hell of it. There's still a board on 4chan to talk about My Little Pony, and so maybe that's where some of the fandom comes in. But ha ha come, but sorry.
don't worry, I get enough from the Fujoshi, known as Spooky Weeb Trash, but she's okay. She might be a Fujoshi, but she's at least a normal Fujoshi. Whereas we don't have the furries, and we don't have the bronies with the cum jars. Which, to be quite honest with you, it's very real. If you guys haven't looked it up, I actually have a link to a video. I'll have to find it where I don't think it shows it, but it kind of like censors it in such a way. Um, that's what keeps me from ever trying to attempt to look at anything that is My Little Pony, and it's immediately just, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. It's bad, very.
Once I went to that convention, I stopped being a My Little Pony fan because I saw a lot of what the fans were really like, and my little sister, who's fairly younger than me, she was starting to get into My Little Pony because little sisters want to look up to their big sisters, and I had to stop because I was so worried that she was going to run into bronies who were fully grown men, and here she is, just a child trying to enjoy the show. Like, I feel like MLP was the first time it, or it really breached that kind of fine line with cartoon porn and or like children's cartoons and then drawing porn of them. I feel like that's when it really exploded. It could be wrong, but
No,
in my
I mean,
personal experience, I feel like that's when it really began to hammer down, and I feel like that's why a lot of people stopped because the porn was becoming so prominent in the fandom.
yeah, and now we have Rule 34 everything. We got Rule 34 of planets and solar systems. I'm pretty sure we have them of volcanoes. If we don't have that now, there was one about the church. There's one about all of that. The Notre Dame church thing got burned down. There's Rule 34 of that too.
I mean, look at
That's pretty
Sonya
much
from
it.
Pokemon who just got introduced. There's a shit ton of porn now.
Yeah, that's it's gonna die off a little bit, but only until the next announcement. So if they talk about something during E3 this next week and they show something else, I'm pretty sure everybody will have forgotten all about that, and they're just gonna be like, oh well, I guess we got to move on to the next waifu. There's some that want not not her, but they want her mom, the old lady. They want her.
No. Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, you have that to look forward to if you're really into that. There are people looting the sheep. What is it, Wooloo? Yeah, they're
Oh,
looting the sheep, and that's also a thing that's happening. Um, I just sometimes sometimes the internet is just the gift that keeps on giving. To be quite honest with you,
sure. We'll call them gifts.
yeah, they're just very messed up and demented gifts, but they are gifts nonetheless. There's one that I saw about Wooloo. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil this for everyone because I don't think you believe hard enough. There was one porn of Wooloo where it's kind of like the Kirby one if you've ever seen it, where they just kind of they can grab the entirety of
Oh.
of Wooloo, and that's just let that be what it
Mm,
is. That's all I'm gonna say to all that. It's just
okay.
imagine with your mind that that's what's happening.
Mm,
Yeah, it doesn't get
I don't
better.
want to go too far if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't get better. That's the whole thing about that entire situation. There's another convention I went to. This was one of the bigger ones where I got to meet a lot of different people, or artists, I should say. So Geb, who is she's known on Twitter as Mighty Cow with a K instead of a C. She was at this convention, and so was Anime Flux, and then there was a bunch of other people that I'm sure were also there. I also met Miku ebooks at Anime Weekend Atlanta. That was interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
This is the layout of this convention. So I wasn't able to get this hotel, like the one where the convention was actually happening at. It was booked by the time I got it. And even when I went to go book the tickets for this year, the second they opened up, they were gone. I didn't even get the chance. Like as soon as I was going through the booking process, it was like, hey, those are gone now. Okay, thanks. Last year I had to stay here at this Embassy Suites. Not a bad spot. There was just no parking when we went there because obviously everybody and their grandmother decided that they wanted to come over here and park because you didn't have to really do anything. You just had like a little card to get in and out, but whatever. Um, but I had to walk from this hotel over to the actual convention center, which, if you want to know, according to this picture, the Renaissance Atlanta Waverly is this. And this is just the hotel part. The actual convention was taking place in these two buildings right here. They're all connected. It's just the dealer's room and stuff like that was all upstairs, and then they also had some panels and stuff like that were upstairs as well. And there wasn't really anything downstairs except for a lot of restaurants. I think I can go to like this restaurant here, and it should show me like the outside somewhere. Let's find out. Yeah, it kind of does. So this was like the entire downstairs of where the convention was happening, and like up top is where the dealer's room and the artist alley and stuff like that was. Um, there was a Subway that was open 24 hours, a happy day, so you could just go there at any time of the day or night.
yeah.
Yeah, and you could just get whatever you wanted. That was the best part of it. Uh, there's a lot of restaurants there. I really did enjoy it. Now, the part that sucked was having to walk from my hotel because they did have a shuttle. The shuttle just came by at like weird hours and it was kind of hard to gauge. But I just ended up walking the entire length anyways because why not? Because
Yeah,
I
if
need the
you're gonna
exercise
walk around at
anyways.
the con, might as well have a nice stretch with walking from the hotel to the convention center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So there's this road that kind of has this roundabout right here, and all the way there is this courtyard, this little scenic route that you can take. I actually saw a couple of different cosplayers taking pictures and stuff like that, and I would get some. And at night, when the convention was starting to wind down, like everything was starting to close, there was there was loud music, obviously, because weebs and loud music are pretty much hand in hand. And there was a lot of drinking. And I remember seeing it like late at night. There was just people everywhere trashing the place. And in the morning, there were still people out there. Like I think I strolled through about 5:30 in the morning, and they were still outside cleaning up everything, like glass bottles,
Oh my
like
gosh.
there were like red solo cups like in all of like the fountains and stuff like that, or even if there wasn't water in it they still had to like clean everything out.
Well, at least that's all there was trash. Could have been a lot worse. But
Oh, i
still, that's just really crappy to clean up.
i wouldn't want to know what it was like in this actual hotel. I'm sure it was equally as bad, just from cleaning up. My hotel was relatively clean because like a couple of people stayed there. It was fine, but on the inside it actually had they had this thing going on where if you cleaned your room well enough, you could actually get tickets to next year's event free. So obviously, I'm
That
going to
was
try to do
really
that.
nice.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll do that. I think I have a picture of it. I have to make sure that everything is pretty safe for work because there's a lot of anime titties that show up on my timeline on Twitter and things like that. So I cleaned our hotel room. You just put everything on the outside. But then again, I'm not a messy person, anyways. I leave everything as the way that it should be. I leave everything clean. That's the way to do it. It helps the staff out a lot because then they don't have to rip everything off the bed and they don't have to touch your gross trash bucket with condoms in it. It's really bad.
I think it'd be interesting to interview someone who works for a hotel and have them come on and say what it was like cleaning up convention or
Oh,
after a convention and what it was like in the rooms.
Jesus. I'm sure that they probably say they don't get paid enough. That would be the that would be the
Yeah,
first thing.
definitely don't get paid enough.
This is Miku ebooks. If you guys were wondering, so there was an actual person that was rolling around dressed as Hatsune Miku. If you can kind of see behind right here, they were actually behind there, but I only took a picture of their plush because that's all people really know about Miku ebooks. So I actually put this one on Twitter and tagged them, but that was a fun experience. They were at an artist alley table. I ended up buying something from that artist too. I don't remember. I have everything pretty much stored away in a box. It was fun. It was a fun event to go to. This was before the weebs were in there. This was like early in the morning when I walked through about 5:30. This was what it was like. I think I live streamed um, a couple of hours later when I actually got there, but it was empty. There was no one there. It was very
That's
quiet.
really nice.
Yeah, it was a nice hotel. I'm gonna be staying there this year, thankfully. But the first night, I'm gonna have to like try to stay somewhere else because they sold out of the one room I wanted. This was on the outside before I got in there. You can see some of the trash pickup crews. They were kind of more on the inside cleaning up stuff, but you can still see there's some trash and stuff right there. It was these weebs. Sometimes they get a little unruly. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes some crimes. I didn't know what that came from until like just last week. I had to remember all over again.
What's that from?
So sometimes some crimes is a is a lyric from the Chippendales Rescue Rangers theme song, and I had completely
Oh,
forgotten about it. Here's some pictures for people that they may know. I gave these to the people that everyone on the internet hates, apparently, anime outsiders. But this is when I went to the dealers part of it, like where they had all this stuff. There was Crunchyroll. They got to fill those quotas, and
oh God.
sometimes the high dive people would come over, and then sometimes the VRV people would come over because it's like an umbrella type of deal. But the plush pool was particularly weird to me because, as you can see, there's people going into this plush pool and then coming out, and they would be able to get one. I would assume. I didn't go in there because fuck Crunchyroll, but you have to imagine that you're around thousands of weeps. I think there was like almost 40,000 people at Anime Weekend Atlanta. Imagine at least a, a good 2,000 of them have to go into this pool of plushes, and it absorbs all of that body odor and sweat. See, now I put the image in your head and you'll never be able to forget it, but it just soaks into those plushes that you're going to eventually take home and treasure forever. Yeah, and also the oh boy, just thinking about it kind of upsets me a little bit. Here's a good gem from this convention. This wasn't necessarily a horror story. This is just my favorite part. Fuck Crunchyroll, right? Flip them off because I hate Crunchyroll. I think that they are very anti-consumer. So there's that. Yeah. So to be fair, it was cleaner probably than the DashCon ball pit, but you know
You
you're
wanna,
you're
you
not really
really want to make that bet that a pool
maybe.
full of plushes is cleaner than the ball pit at DashCon?
Um, well, to be fair, we knew that the ball pit was piston, but not the plush pool. But I couldn't tell you one way or another if it was.
Man, you should have gone into the plush pit.
Wait, where was DashCon held? It was like somewhere in the Midwest, right?
I think it was Chicago. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought it was like Chicago or somewhere like that. I forget, but I do remember watching the Internet Historian's video about it, and very informative. I just the fact that they had to round up all of those people to get the money to stay in the hotel is probably the best thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
All I remember from DashCon is on Tumblr, back before it turned into a nightmare of a cesspit. I just saw nothing but people reblogging the same Homestuck cosplayers in the ball pit. It was just that picture all over my timeline. And that's all I ever knew about DashCon was that it was really crappy and there was a ball pit in there.
See, I'm not with the internet that much of like what Homestuck is, but apparently it's apparently supposed to be the shit. I have no idea.
I was a fan. It's actually kind of funny. After I stopped liking My Little Pony, I got really into Homestuck. So Homestuck at the time was actually pretty good. It's just like furries. I feel maybe this is when, I don't know, but it you started hearing a lot of horror stories with people who would cosplay people from Homestuck. Because one thing with Homestuck is that they're the troll. I think they're trolls. I can't remember, but they're like these troll aliens, and one of the signature things about them is that they have gray skin. So imagine a bunch of 13, 14-year olds running around a convention unsupervised, covered in body paint that isn't set in, and having them smear crap all along the walls and then harassing other cosplayers dressed as characters they want to ship.
Ugh,
And
ugh.
because I remember, especially about smearing, that the volunteers after some convention spent hours trying to clean up this one wall because there was nothing but gray paint all over it. And if they didn't get it cleaned up, I think the hotel was gonna do something. It was either they had to pay a fine or something. But
God,
that's all I heard from Homestuck is that they just turned. It was just a bunch of unsupervised teenagers running around and being dipshits.
please respect your hotel staff. They work hard to put up with a lot of shit. Like they have to deal with old people pretty much most of the year until they get to your convention, and then they have to deal with pissed off weebs the whole time. Like they have to deal with not just your shit, but the old people shit too. And maybe the actual literal shit. I mean, you can kind of just infer from that what you want. Um, I actually went on to Google Maps here and I found a couple of pictures from people that were posting from Anime Expo last year. Surprisingly, it was from last year. There's a couple. If you go like on Google Earth, you'll actually see some from like 2015 or maybe even before that. Um, there was 110,000 people I think at last year's Anime Expo,
Holy shit.
and of course that number is constantly growing. Um, I think that when I get there, I think the thing that's gonna freak me out the most is the sheer amount of people first and foremost. Because if you figure that Thursday everybody's gonna be there, like they're just coming in on flights or they're driving in, and there's not gonna be that many people there at the beginning. Friday there will be a good number of people. I would estimate maybe 70,000 people. Just take these numbers as ballparks, and I don't have any other
That's
idea.
more than the place I live in.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
live I live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. I live in a small town, and that's near almost double the population of my town.
Yeah, and just imagine, because these are people coming from all over the country and probably all over the world. So there's some people that are coming. Obviously, they're coming from Japan, but there's some that are coming from like Australia. There's some that are coming from the UK. There's some that are coming from just probably down the street from me, and I just don't even know it. But that's just on Thursday and Friday. So Thursday is the pre-show, and you have to pay extra $20, but you can pretty much see the layout of stuff. I think, was it you that told me about that, or no? It was another artist. She was telling me about how the pre-show allows you to see some like behind-the-scenes stuff, but you can walk around and see the layout, so that way you know where you're going when you get there. Friday, I think there's going to be a good couple of people, but that's when the actual convention starts. So there'll be a good number of people. But Saturdays, usually when it's a convention, Saturday is the day that everyone shows up, and that's the day that I think will hit peak 100, and I will estimate 130,000 people this year, if I had to make some estimates of my own, and that's a lot of people. This is some people just posted their pictures from it. I don't think that there's many that I could find. There's just like a lot of car stuff. E3 is held here too. Uh, this was from last year. No, this is from 2017. E3 2017. What a great year to find out how we're gonna play some Battlefield. Here's
I
here's
love my
World War II.
Battlefield games.
Yeah, me too. I used to like them. But yeah, this is what's probably going to be the thing. So I don't see that there's going to be a lot of issues at Anime Expo, but I was told by someone who has attended Anime Expo previously that it never fails, but there's always going to be someone at every corner talking to you about Christianity. So if
Oh, yeah, I remember even way back when. So I
that was still
went.
a thing, people just they openly were like, "Hey, I know that you guys are really out here for the animes. Am I right, kids? But do you wanna learn about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?"
Nah, but I remember because I Anime Expo 2012. It's either 2011 or 2012. Yeah, it was 2011 because I remember it was when Japan had the big earthquake, and part of the con was that a lot of the I think some of the proceeds of what they made from selling tickets and just general donations was going to go to Japan as aid for the giant earthquake they had. And I was there with my mom, and my mom is just getting used to me being in anime. And I also was cosplaying as Reina Ryuk, which is just I got her uniform off of Milanu, which is some really shady Chinese website. But I was in middle school, I had no idea. I just saw a cheap cosplay and I wanted to get it. So there was I wearing some school uniform, and my mom was there. I think we were waiting in line, but we didn't end up getting tickets to the actual con. They had some kind of deal that was going on where I you could get into to the con for free, but you can only stay in the artist alley, and that was my experience at Anime Expo. And we were waiting in line, and I think there was a couple of guys out there, and they were shouting some crap about anime is a sin, it's the devil's work. You guys,
Those are the types of people you get. Okay.
it's it's kind of a mix. Like some I've seen people you'll protesting about anime, or they'll have the signs. There's that one picture of the cosplayer or a cosplayer cosplaying as Madoka, and she squatting, and there's like people with signs saying God hates blah 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 blah, and then just videos of anime fans trolling those wonderful Christians.
So he just got a super amalgamation of various types of people, apparently, where they, I guess it's just a mixed bag. Like you said, it's just kind of a lot of people. Here's some eye candy for people, so that way you can see this one guy. He apparently posted a blog. Sorry, not a blog. It's a vlog. Sorry, I'm not hip with the YouTube lingo here. But here's this video that this guy posted where he chronicles everything that he did on his way to Anime Expo. Apparently, he makes Ninjago videos. Is that why he tags them with hashtags like that? I guess that's a thing. But there's
I was
this.
gonna say there's actually kind of a big fandom for Lego Ninjago for some reason.
That's very very odd. As a matter of fact,
I don't know why, but I think I came across this account on Twitter, and they were a Ninjago role playing account, and they had some link to their fan fiction. So I clicked on it, and it was, of course, was nothing but smut between those Lego boys. But apparently, there's a fandom for it, and it's actually kind of big. But who would have thought? I think there's a show on Cartoon Network that, yeah, because I know that brings in a lot of. There's probably like fans for every. That's stupid of me to say because my my mind I speak and my mind's really fast and I just can't keep up. But there's a fandom for almost anything, but it's just there's a naturally big one for Lego Ninjago.
that's disturbing, kind of. I mean, at least it's safe. At least we know for now it's safe. I will say that because at any given time things can be ruined in a matter of minutes.
Oh yeah.
Look at this. Look at this guy's vlog. He is out here. His friend is carrying around that Crunchyroll bag. I saw way too many of those. I'm sure that they're going to be pretty much posted everywhere.
Pretty much.
I the last time that we had a stream like this about Anime Expo, there was we had Play Bunny Lucy on here, who was telling me about just all of the different cosplayers you see, and then also like the different things that there are in this convention. The one thing that I see everybody is bringing up, yes, every time you go to a convention, people do not shower. I have no idea why this is. They apparently hygiene goes out the window, and it's even worse when it's a furry because furries have this smell. These furries, yeah, you know the smell I'm talking about. Unfortunately, you know the smell I'm talking about. So here's a story from when I was on the plane on my way back from Sacramento this past couple of months ago. And this guy, I knew he had to have either been a furry or he was a super weeb degenerate, because he had this like teddy bear, but it was like a green Power Ranger teddy bear from like the workshop thing that they have. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just getting on the plane and there were no seats. There were no seats left. So I was like, okay, well, I don't have anywhere to sit. And the lady was like, okay, well, come up back to the front of the plane. And then the guy next to his super, she wasn't, she was obese. Let's just not dance around it. She was obese. And she had to move over into the other seat. She was taking up almost two seats. So
That
he moved
sounds
over.
like my roommate.
Yeah, so
My old.
he moved over, and they had one seat ready, and I was like, okay, well, that's fine. And then as I'm sitting in the seat, I smell him. Like, I smell his musk, if you will, and it's just kind of like radiating off of him. So I kind of like tried to avoid touching him with my clothes. So I kind of just positioned myself in the seat, and I tried to lean a little bit towards the aisle, because like the seat that
Yeah.
I was in was like right on the aisle. And when we took off, everything was pretty normal. I was like, okay, I'll just have to sit like this the rest of the flight. It's not a big deal. It's only an hour and 15 minutes, whatever. Um, we were in the air. We're 40,000 feet in the air. And either him or his super obese girlfriend, life partner, whatever you want to call her, uh, one of those two, or both of them, were farting. And
Oh.
if you're on a plane, yeah, it gets worse. And you're on the plane, you know how they have like the little fans that you can like turn on, like they
Yeah.
shoot out the air. Um, they didn't have that at the very front of the plane, so I had to like gasp for air, like moving towards the aisle, because there was just none whatsoever. And of course, we land and we have to get back on the plane, and they happen to be on the connecting flight that I'm going to be on. And I luckily I didn't have to sit next to them that second time, but the first time I found from that point forward, I'm not sitting next to any weebs. I'm sitting next to people I know. I just can't do it anymore. But imagine that, but except not on a plane, but in an anime convention around hundreds, if not thousands of other people that are also not showering. Your life will change from that point forward. I guarantee it. I
I'm
don't know what it is. They just don't.
still. I don't know if I'm lucky. I'll consider myself lucky, but I've had the fortunate chance to never run into anyone who smells awful. And I think it just goes back to what I was saying earlier. People who go to conventions aren't socially aware of what's normal, and you have people kind of showing up and they haven't showered for a week. It just kind of goes back to not being aware of your hygiene. And I mean it. I think at I remember reading something, but there was a Super Smash Bros. Tournament, and they had to put signs up everywhere saying that you have to shower or you aren't going to be able to participate in the tournament. And I remember reading something about it. If I could find it, I could. But it's actually a tactic. People don't shower on purpose because they want to distract the other player with their stench in order for them to win the tournament.
Yeah, I've seen that same story, and it never ceases to amaze me that there are people that for some reason they forego the soap in the water, so that way they can have this weird tactical advantage. And it's there's a video that I always talk about that people need to be very very interested in watching. It's this one guy, you might have seen it too. This guy is in the shower and he says wash your ass. He says and he has soap and everything, and he's telling people to wash your ass. And he's 100% accurate. I don't think I can find that video anymore. I don't think it's on the YouTubes, but I know for sure that it's definitely on Twitter somewhere. People have it. And that's my advice to anyone. If you're at a convention, or if you need to desperately, like, I can't go a day without having a shower. At least just rinse off or something.
Yeah.
Just or just you don't even have to. If you don't use soap, that's fine. If you're allergic to it, then get something that you're not allergic to, or just rinse off and then you know spray. But holy shit, you got to.
Keyword here, wash your ass.
Yeah, like those signs that they have in the bathrooms for any restaurant, and it's like, hey, employees must wash their hands before they return to work. That's pretty much that, except everyone needs to be doing that, but all over their body. Yeah, I am perfectly aware that Tariq Nasheed has a song about washing your ass. I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to have different forms of media to tell people to, have basic hygiene, but sometimes that's what's needed. I have no idea why.
I feel like people aren't taught how to clean themselves,
I I think they are. They're just I don't know. Maybe they just think that they're too busy to take a shower.
or
I
they just
guess.
don't care.
Yeah, that or they're like, well, no one's gonna notice me in this group of 100,000 people. But
Oh, they will.
but don't
They
worry,
will.
we'll notice. We notice. We notice everything. Just because someone doesn't say anything doesn't mean that you're not walking away like, well, no one smelled me this time, so it must be fine. I can't. You're gonna be first of all. I don't. You would probably know this before me, but at at Anime Expo, not only are you in an entire convention center that's going to be relatively warm with a bunch of people, but you're going to be outside in the dry heat in LA, which can reach up to 110 degrees around those same people baking. Please, please just clean yourselves.
Wash your ass.
Yeah, just please wash your ass. That's the best advice. I really need that video now more than ever. It's one of those things that you need to have at least one time. It's kind of like sex ed when you're in when you're in school. You just have to have it one time and then you're good. You really need that video about washing your ass. And oh man, I just it's great. I wish I could find it again.
Speaking of horrible smells, I was wondering if you want me to talk about my roommate. So I know, like, I feel like it's not appropriate since we're talking about convention stuff, but I feel that telling her story would be a warning to people who want to try to room up with people or just the kind of people you'll meet at anime conventions because she's gotten more cons than me, which I'm a little surprised at. But it's it's a tale of horrors
Well, I
to put
imagine.
it.
And this is the thing too. So in the chat, they're like, why do weebs not drink water? Because okay, so it's a long running gag slash reality that weebs do not drink water because it doesn't taste like anything. But you need to stay hydrated and drink water. Trust me.
Yes, drink at least 2 liters of water a day, especially if you're going to be going to Southern California during Anime Expo. Get your water.
Yeah, take look. There's going to be food trucks outside that are going to have water available. There's going to be people running around with like the little carts. They have water. Just get you some water. Carry it with you in your backpack. I suggest you take some with you in your backpack, depending on where you're going to be staying at. Just be very prepared because it's going to be a hot one out there. I think right now it's not so bad. It's like 80 degrees. I don't know what the weather is for today for
I can
there.
check.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's one of those where you really want to just be prepared. But yeah, weebs do not like water. You need to drink water. It's because they mainly drink like Mountain Dew and energy drinks and stuff like that. And they think that's gonna carry them like from day to day, and it's just not going to happen. Not at all.
I actually never heard of weebs don't drink water. I only hear energy drinks mostly for gamer types.
Well, yeah. Well, did you not know the
More you
rogues are
know.
gamers? And yeah, Mountain Dew. They love Mountain Dew, especially if you're here in the South. They fucking
Ew.
love Mountain Dew. There's like that new Liberty Brew one, that Liberty Brew Mountain Dew. I hate it. It tastes like cough syrup. I can't. I guess I would have to be in the mood for it, or I have to be extremely drunk. Kind of like Jägermeister, but at least Jaeger you can kind of get through because you mix it with something. This Mountain Dew is supposed to be drank straight, and
Ew.
it's gross. It's To me, it's gross. I know there's some people that really enjoy it. I can't stand it.
The
Um,
only good Mountain Dew is the red Mountain Dew flavor.
I like most of them, just not this new one. The Liberty Brew ruins it for me. It's one of those that I can't. I know there's one friend that I have. He lives in Florida. If this gives you any context to anything, um, we would anywhere that we went, no matter where, he would only order Mountain Dew as his drink. Like we would go to like Olive Garden. Yeah, I want Mountain Dew. Okay. We'd go out to like this was in Orlando. We'd go out to Old Town. He would say, "Hey, I want a Mountain Dew. Like, can you please just drink water, please, sir?" It was one of those. I drink
I'm
water more now than I probably have ever before because it's very important.
I'm more shocked that he was able to order Mountain Dew at Olive Garden more than anything, to be honest, because I didn't know you could do that. Huh.
Don't worry, I'll never forget that story, ever.
Nothing like fine American cuisine to go with your Italian.
That's right. You gotta you gotta mix it up a little bit, otherwise it's gonna be stale. You need the Mountain Dew to
Yeah,
offset everything else.
just tip your glass, sprinkle it over your fettuccine alfredo, mix it up, make it a little bit more soupy, get that flavor.
I've as I'm looking at this video, I've never bought wall scrolls. I don't see what the appeal in them is. Uh,
Yeah,
maybe people just like them. I just don't
yeah,
care about them.
I don't see the appeal in wall scrolls either. I just feel like they look awkward and they're not. You could do more with a poster than you could really do with a wall scroll because you could get your poster framed. You can it would suit the room better, I think, with a poster rather than a wall scroll because a wall scroll really makes it. When I think of wall scrolls, I think of really old school otaku weeaboo.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of those. Uh, oh, so there's actually a picture. This is a fun con story that I have to tell. It was at Anime Weekend Atlanta, actually, and someone posted this picture when it happened over that weekend. I'm sure I could go back and find it somewhere, but at the one stand where they had all of the hentai, all the doujinshi, if you will, they had them all sorted out by the title, or if you were looking for like mainstream titles like Bleach or something like that, you could just go there and find all of the Bleach doujins that they had. When it came to One Piece, because Funimation was in the building and also because of licensing reasons, they could not use the name One Piece. They had to change it to Two Piece minus one. I'll never forget that as long as I live. That's a very real thing that they had to label. Someone has that picture and it's on Twitter. I know for a fact it's on there because I saw it. This guy, this guy's Pikachu samurai thing is very creative. As I'm looking at this video, I don't think I would. I guess if I were like trying to be outlandish with something, I guess I could do that. But I just, hmm.
Hmm.
All right. Oh, this is when they were showing the game that everyone bought and immediately hated. Okay. There's one stand I want to go to at Anime Expo. It is the Girls Frontline booth because I want a poster. That's the only reason I want to go.
The only reason you're going to Anime Expo is just to get that poster.
Kind of not. No, not really. So there's a multitude of reasons, and when I first booked everything, when I first booked everything for Anime Expo, I was planning it to be the only trip to California I was going to have. And I was like, oh, this would be my first time all the way across the country. I might as well go ahead and get the biggest and best shit I can possibly get. And lo and behold, I had to go out there at the very beginning of April. And then I had to go out there again on May 17th for an exam for a new job. So I've already been out there a couple of times, but now this will be like, you know, the third time, unless I have to go before this or during this convention. We'll see. But I'm pretty sure that this is the only trip that is coming up soon for me. But, I, you know, life works in a very, very strange way. One day I'll take a
Never
picture of all
know.
the stuff I got from the convention. I kind of did, but most of it's not safe for work because there's a lot of lewds in there. But a lot of it's
Post
safe
it
for
on
work.
Twitter.
Mm-hmm. I'll try to get like a collective photo of them. Like I think I have like one photo I think of like the candy and stuff that I bought, and it was mostly from Anime Weekend Atlanta. And people in the Discord have seen this picture, and this is the entire haul that I had. This was all of the snacks and stuff that I brought from Atlanta to my house, minus a couple of like other drinks that I had because the vitamin CC lemon is some of the best shit I've ever had. If I see that at Anime Expo, I'm buying a bunch of it because it's really good. It's my favorite drink. But yeah, I bought pretty much everything that I could see, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I feel happy with that haul. From just 3 hours away, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I think there should be some other fun videos slash pictures. Make sure this one doesn't blow out my eardrums. Okay. Um, here's one from this. They had to move this entire stand from in the food court over to the dealer's room and stuff. So there was a bunch of weebs here dancing, doing anime song stuff. And as you can see, this guy comes in fist bumping. Yeah, it's this is it. That's what you're gonna see at every anime convention.
Even at there when at the My Little Pony Con, there was a rave going on.
Oh,
Rave, I'll say. It was
okay.
really cringy. I just stayed in the corner. My friends and I stayed in the corner, and it was towards the end of the con, and I want to say that maybe there was only one other girl in the rave room. The rest were just 20-year-old men, 20-plus-year-old men dancing to Discord, that one song that got really popular, and a whole bunch of other My Little Pony songs, and adding really crappy remixes to it, and all these strobe lights going off. After that, we just left and went home.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I just why? Just why? I saw someone mention Neptunia at Anime Weekend Atlanta. So this is safe for work for me to show. So Geb, who is an artist that's on Twitter, she lives in California, and I think she went to Fanime this most recent time, but she was also at Anime Weekend Atlanta, and I went to her booth, and I pretty much bought this Fire Emblem girl on girl fan book because they were from Comiket, and she only had about 5 of them left, and I said, well, I need to get it because they're very limited, and I like to support the arts, as some of you may know. I think there was like a couple of other prints of Neptune that I also bought. There were some phone straps. I bought those even though I can't use them. Just keep them for the novelty. Um, but then there's like all the male characters that she draws. She's really good at it. I don't mind it. Um,
I can see that.
yeah, she's good at it. I didn't buy any of those, but I did buy the Daisy one for Fupu, and then I bought the Saitama picture that she drew. It has the one. What's that one? The one small character girl. She has like she turns into like a full grown woman, but she's like a little chibi character that drinks cola all the time. I can't remember the name of that that anime. It's like Umaru. Is it Umaru-chan or something like that? Umaru. Yeah, I think it's Umaru-chan. If I, yeah, Himoto Umaru-chan. That's it. Yeah. So it was a picture of that and Saitama, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. Why not? um, but yeah, but all in all, sorry, we got like a little sidetracked. But yeah, you want to make sure that whoever you're going to be staying with, when you bring all that shit to a room, that you don't stink as well. Um, at least in the penthouse that I'm going to be staying at, there's going to be 5 people total, but all of us are very clean people. Yeah, we're getting a fucking penthouse in downtown LA, and all 5 of us are going to be there. But there's rooms to accommodate everybody, and I trust everyone is also very clean, because they are very clean people. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah, I mean, I trust them with anything that requires cleanliness in some respect. But for some of you that might be rooming with other people that you may have never met before, or that you may know that may not be so clean, Cherry has a roommate that she wants to tell you a very intricate story about, because you need to wash your ass.
I I want to be very nice and say that she wasn't able to, and I will kind of explain that later. But um so long story short, I ended up being roommates with a morbidly obese weeaboo from the south. I'm going to refer her as Sakura because she has a very unhealthy obsession with Sakura from Naruto, that she at one point would tell me about all the fights she had on Facebook with random Naruto fans explaining why Sakura is the best Naruto character.
Oh no.
Oh, but let me just explain. I don't I actually was friends with her at one point. We got along fairly well. It's just that she's just a horribly shitty person who has no self-awareness, and unfortunately she's lost, like, I'm not friends with her anymore. She's not friends with another roommate, and I will explain that later. But to kind of go from the top, I I was looking for a roommate with room. I was looking for a person to room with in college because I was living on campus at the time. And the way my college handles its roommates is that it was kind of like a dating site. You say, "Oh, I'm not a heavy sleeper. I can, if you could like turn off the lights, whatever. I don't smoke. I like to study." It was just kind of like general dating profile. And so I did it for the next year, and I was trying to look for someone who was into anime because my first year as a freshman, I ended up rooming with a bunch of normies who didn't really like me, and then they all left, and then I got another roommate who ended up throwing bleach on my towels and would stay up until 3 a.m. and then never got toilet paper because we had a shared bathroom. Never got toilet. Yeah, yeah. One time she left the toilet clogged,
Oh my
and I
god.
had to buy a fucking plunger, and she never paid me back. But the day she left, she put bleach all over my towels. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So I wanted to have someone who was into anime. And the top result for who I got paired with was Sakura. I didn't message her at first because I wanted to message a couple of people, and I was a little wary about her age because she was a couple years older than me. But later I found out she was actually in her mid 20s. But I didn't message her. I got a couple of messages from weird people, and then finally I just messaged her and say, "Hey, we paired for the roommate thing. Blah blah blah. What do you let's talk and hopefully we can be roommates or whatever." And the conversation and what we talk about actually starts off fairly normal. She's into anime. She really likes Naruto. Like, pretty much, I call it fast food anime. She likes the fast food anime, Sword Art Online, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach.
Yeah, the couple that you know the most, like,
Yeah,
that you would always go to. I gotcha.
pretty much like Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale was her most favorite anime,
That's
and
mm,
we just kind of talked about it. She mentioned that she only watches in dub because she just I just feel like it's a poor excuse now that I look about it, but she would get headaches when she would read the lines and they were too fast for her to read. And I'm not fully against that idea, but that's also her character being a lazy piece of shit. But
fair enough.
anyway, so we get to the point and we start to Skype, and I notice that she's obese. And I frankly don't care because I'm not the skinniest person ever as well. And I thought she just was like, we had another normal conversation. And she mentioned how it was really nice that we were having a Skype conversation because none of her other roommates would do that. And I just really wanted to make sure I would have her as my roommate. And so, one point we start to discuss for her to come down to where I live as kind of like a sleepover stay and weekend because at that point in time, I didn't have a room to share with anybody, so I was kind of by myself. And I had a spare dorm bed for her to sleep on so when she comes. So my boyfriend and I drive up to a really itty bitty town in the Midwest, about 3,000 people to go pick her up because she didn't have a car. She didn't have her driver's license because she never learned how to drive. And so we pick her up, and at that point, like, she said, like, she was a big girl. When we got there, her parents were smoking on the street because they weren't allowed to smoke on the property. And we kind of introduced them because they say that she's getting her stuff ready. Her stepmom's really creepy and starts to talk about her dentures. And then
Oh,
she opens the door, comes out, and I'm going to say this as nice as I can because this is actually her size, at least to my knowledge, but it was like coming out of a My 600 Pound Life episode.
oh my.
She was that big and tall. And she admitted herself to me the last time she got weighed. And I fully suspect that she weighed more, that she was 530 pounds.
There's no way. There's just no fucking way.
She was also extremely tall. I think her height was the only way she was able to support herself and walking. And she, I think she was about 6 foot, 5'11". But I meet her, and my boyfriend and I just kind of look at each other, and we kind of wordlessly say, we didn't expect her to be that big.
Trust me,
And
I
so
know about the silent. I know what you're thinking, and yes, I'm thinking it too. That's the. I know that look. It's almost like a look into someone's soul, and it's like screaming help.
it's, I should have just, that was a giant red flag. I mean, not her weight, but just that whole experience. But nope, I didn't listen to myself, and it just got a whole lot worse for me. So originally I was gonna be sitting, or no, I don't know, but eventually, scratch what I was gonna say. So we pick her up, we drive back down to my town, and she can't even put the seatbelt on herself. She's that large, and she was taking up half of, like, more than half of the back seat. I had to pull up my seat, and so we just were kind of talking. I just felt extremely awkward the whole time because I didn't expect her to be that big. And so we get back to my room and we just kind of start talking. I have a whole kind of day trip planned out for us just to kind of show her around Kearney, show her around the school and whatnot, just to see if, like, this, because this is kind of like a test if we really want to be roommates. So the weekend's kind of fine. We go out to eat a lot and just kind of walk around. I take her to the mall. Not just not a lot to do in my town. Um, we and one thing I noticed is that she what she didn't like to spend time with me.
Oh, sorry. That's
Hello, doggo. As soon as we got back to the dorm room and we're just kind of settling in for the night, she would just kind of take out her laptop, place it on her chest, and proceed to watch a shit ton of Bleach dubbed. And so eventually we kind of take her back, but before we go, she asked us if she could go to McDonald's because her town doesn't have a McDonald's, all they have is an Arby's.
that's
And she proceeds,
odd. Like, just sorry to interrupt, but that's odd that there's no McDonald's, and there's a fucking McDonald's everywhere. There's two of them just in my city alone.
we have three, and my town is small. It's just there used to, from what I heard, there used to be a McDonald's up in that town, but it got closed down, and all there is, I think, is a Subway, a Casey's General Store, which is basically a gas station, but they also have pizza, which is actually really good. Gas station pizza in general is pretty terrible, but they make their pizza from scratch, and it's not that bad.
Interesting.
But they had a Subway, an Arby's, and a Casey's General Store. So before we leave town, she and say we're driving for about 2 hours. She asked us if we could go to McDonald's because she wants to get something to eat. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's fine. We'll do that. We've been kind of chauffeuring her around the weekend. We can do this. She proceeds to order, I think, 2 orders of 10-piece chicken nuggets, a, 2 Big Mac meals, and I think
God.
another hamburger. And she doesn't eat it all in the back of the car. She eats half of it, and then she's gonna have the fast food sit in the back for 2 hours so
Why?
she can eat it at home.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's yeah. Essentially, like Icy said, or Danny said, that's essentially two number nines. Oh my
Pretty much.
god. Oh my god. For 2 hours, and she just like lets half of it sit back there.
Pretty much, yeah. And I have been graced by God that I can't smell a lot of things. And I just can't imagine the smell of old fast food just kind of sitting there
Ugh.
for 2 hours. And then it's not even good after 2 hours. Even if you heat it up, it's gonna taste terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But like now that I'm thinking about it, it's just that food was good to her because she wasn't able to get it, and it just kind of she kind of willing to eat it even if it is 2 hours old and reheated. So we kind of talk a little bit. I'm still a little bit shooken up by that whole trip, and eventually I start to get that doubt in the back of my head saying, I shouldn't be her roommate. I shouldn't be her roommate. I shouldn't be her roommate. But I'm too anxious to back out of it because I was already so far deep in it. I didn't want to just say, hey, I don't think it's going to work out, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's also that I felt a little guilt tripped because she, I feel like when you're that large, you want to be able to get you want to be able to get the food you want. And of course, that's going to be manipulating people. And over the course of living with her, she was very manipulative, but I caught on pretty early and just kind of told her to go fuck herself. But I felt a little guilt trip because her family was really hard. She told me about how her mom was, how her dad, her stepmom, and her stepmom really was fucking bonkers. I think she was an old meth head.
Had to have been to talk about to talk about dentures.
And so we just kind of become roommates. And then just to kind of backtrack and explain my dorm, I was in a dorm where it was 2 rooms and there was a bathroom connecting it. and we were looking for roommates to be on the other side, and we ended up with other roommate, which I'll call artist friend, and then we have a international student staying with us, but she's not really relevant to the story. It's the three of us. So Sakura kind of moves in. I have the fortunate chance again to meet her stepmother, and she proceeds to show me her teeth without dentures and says, last time you saw me, I didn't have my dentures in. You want to take a look at my teeth now? And then shows me her gums.
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, that's really nice. And just the first few couple months, things were fine. But one thing that happened during move-in day is that I was visiting my parents. They live in a different country, and I went to Daiso because they had one at the mall there. And I got a couple of gifts because it was her birthday a few months prior, and I wanted to get her something just to be nice. But I was kind of holding it for a while, didn't really wrap it. I just kind of gave her a bag full of like little trinkets. I think there was a lipstick, there was a keychain, there was those panda shaped erasers, and something else, but I don't remember.
Mm.
So I kind of gave her late birthday gift, and she just kind of looks through it with fake enthusiasm, says thanks, and then shoves what I got her into the desk that comes with our dorm room. And I never see it again until maybe January next year when she's looking for something and pulls out that wrinkly old plastic bag and plops it on her desk.
Oh my god, he sounds like the roommate from hell. I can't see. I can level with
It
you
gets
on this
worse.
because it was I had a situation very similar to this, but this sounds like just hit me with the rest of it.
So I get to know her more, and one of the things that we talk about is her weight because she's more than aware of her weight. But one of the things that she is that she's a very picky eater. She doesn't eat vegetables. The only fruit she'll eat is bananas because she has to, because she has gout at 24 years old, when that's a disease for old people.
Oh fuck.
Like, she, at one point, she didn't like the food that they served at my college, which is all unfair, but I was always able to find something. What I rarely ate dinner with her because the first time I did, all she got was a giant plate of mashed potatoes with a giant wad of butter on it, which she dumped with salt all over, mixed it together, maybe ate about 5 bites of it, and said, "This is not even warm. I'm not hungry anymore," and threw the whole thing away.
Oh my god. Oh, I
But
can't even stomach the fact of just the like the giant portion of just butter and salt and mashed potatoes.
the mashed potatoes were yellow at that
Oh,
point.
oh.
So we kind of talk about like her weight and how she progressed to be that big. And Kurt and the college I'm at is her second college because she got kicked out of her first college because she failed out. She spent, this was also a red flag for me, which I didn't know was coming, but oh lord. She would stay up late watching anime and talking with friends, and then would sleep all day because she'd stay up until about 8 a.m., miss all of her classes, and failed out. And she was close to graduating with a degree in education. I think she wanted to be a teacher at that point, but she just fucked herself over and failed out, and came up to Nebraska because her family, her mom wouldn't let her back in, and just was trying to redeem herself by going to college in Nebraska. And during that course, she said that she was always a fairly big girl, like 300 pounds. That's still kind of terrible, but not 500 pounds. But she had gained 250 pounds in the course of 4 years because all she ate at college was pure junk food because she went to a smaller college and they served nothing but junk food. At least
Ugh.
at my college, we have a salad bar and some healthier choices. It's still not the best. I haven't eaten there in 2 years now, but it was healthier than whatever crap she was getting.
God, I feel like I need to have like salad injected into my bloodstream after hearing this.
Same. I don't even know what to. Surprisingly, I'm getting a little hungry, but I'm probably just gonna have some broccoli later. Yeah.
I just
Okay. Broccoli and a little bit of olive oil is fantastic.
yeah, that sounds a lot better than what was it? 2 orders of 10-piece chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
Uh,
chicken nugget, 2 orders of 10-piece chicken nuggets, another hamburger, I think, and then 2 orders of Big Macs. And she was gonna, yeah, save half of that.
I just that doesn't remotely sound appealing, and trust me, I have a little bit of a gut myself, but I can't even
Yeah, it just,
imagine.
but ooh, oh boy. So she pretty much she hated the food so much at my college that she tried to apply for food stamps because she was so poor with her money that every time she got a paycheck, the first thing she would always buy is a giant order of pizza from Papa John's or Pizza Hut or Domino's from whatever. But always from Papa John's, she would always get an order of crazy bread or cheese bread, whatever it's called there. So imagine coming home to a dorm room that smells of sweat and pizza. Air freshener cannot cover that stench.
No, it can't.
And it was all in one room.
Unfortunately, I know exactly that. I know exactly that. It's oh, how does what's the worst part of this entire story?
Probably, God, it's hard to pick a moment, but
Jeez, what's
I'll
the one that you always have as a go to of what not to do?
probably, as I told earlier, how she got kicked out of her first college was that she stayed up too late watching anime. Something happened over winter break. Don't know exactly what or why she began to do this, but she began to stay up at ungodly hours because she would watch a shit ton of fucking anime dubbed and breathe heavily while watching something with Vic Monogna in it because she was one of those dub fans where she is obsessed to the point with Vic Monogna and Todd Habercorn. What if she wasn't watching anime? She was watching those watch top 10 Mojo videos.
Oh,
I've never watched them.
no, the Watch Mojo
Narrated.
top tens of
Yep.
the. Oh
And
no.
then she was, I don't know. I wish, or another odd thing is that she fully supported Funimation and Crunchyroll because she believed after I explained to her what they really do and what Crunchyroll was like, and then having my artist roommate chip in, she still wanted to support Crunchyroll because she believes that the actors are getting paid and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, yeah, if you want to do that, sure. But
Oh
she would watch
no.
all of her anime on some pirated site. It wasn't Kiss Anime. It was something like Watch Cartoon Online.
Actually, one of the best places to watch it. That's somewhat what I use. It's
But
not terrible, but you have to make sure that you have the ad block on. Otherwise,
yeah,
it no, it's no count.
she didn't even have ad blocker on her laptop because we tried to watch something on Kiss Anime at one time, and she had a shit ton of those like, hey, click here to play this game that will make you come over 9,000 times. Ah.
Yeah. Oh my
All
god.
over her laptop. Like, okay. Oh god.
It's like
I
you have
just
the last
remembered
5 minutes.
something.
Play this game. Oh Jesus.
So I just remember this, but I will get to the worst part. But one time she was showing me various pictures on her laptop, and she had a bunch of like
Oh
anime waifus saved.
oh
And
no.
there was one kind of, it wasn't hentai, but it was pretty damn close to being, it was probably ecchi of some character. I don't even know the character because I don't watch the kind of anime she watches. And it was an erotic pose laying on a bed and have all she had was these thorns covering her private parts and her nipples. And she skips over that really quickly and then starts to laugh at some funny Tokyo Ghoul meme. And
Oh
she knew I
no.
saw it, and it just started to get really awkward in the room. So I mentioned like, haha, that was a funny picture back there. And then she says, "Oh, you mean the Tokyo Ghoul one? Yeah, it's pretty funny." I'm like, "Uh-huh, sure."
Oh no. Oh, oh God. Oh no. Oh my God. Why? Why are they this way?
So I don't know, but she probably enjoyed the time when I left to go to my boyfriend's house or to my classes. That was probably her time because she always
Please.
stayed in the dorm room. She never left unless she had to.
Now, when you
And
say
that,
she had to, do you mean like she had to go to class, or like she had
yeah,
to like actually get fresh air?
she had to go to class, but it was always very late. She either had to go to class, go get the pizza, or do some project at the library, but she was always up in the dorm room doing whatever because our campus isn't even very big, but it would still be an effort for her to walk 5 minutes to go to one place because it would take her like 10. So the worst part of living with her is that she started staying up super late watching anime and then get into a panic because she didn't finish some project because she procrastinated a lot. And it wasn't bad during the first semester, but at that point I had a 8 o'clock class and she would start with her projects, I think maybe 1 or 2 a.m. And at for the rest of the year until I left the until that school year ended, I was running on maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, sometimes 3 or 2, depending on how late she was staying up. Because for whatever reason, she had a desk light, and she couldn't turn on the desk light for some reason. She had to have the overlight on, and there's times I would ask her like, "Hey, could you turn off the light for me just to go to sleep?" And she's like, "Oh, I can't see this. I need the whole light on." I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And so, one point, I was not feeling well. I had a giant migraine, and it was getting to the point where light was so bad, or it was like looking into the lights above were so bad, and I just wanted to go to sleep. And it was maybe at 10 o'clock at night. So I asked her very nicely, "Hey, Sakura, could you turn off the light for a second? Or could you turn off the light or go study in the study rooms outside?" And she gets really mad with me and says, like, "Oh, what do you mean turn off the lights? I can't, you're being so rude, blah, 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 blah." And then I snap at her. I say, "I'm sick. I feel absolutely fucking terrible. Turn off the lights or I'm going to fucking report you to the RA, you pig," or something like that. I called her a fat,
Oh.
which is which is mean, and I kind of feel, but
I,
whatever.
I'm pretty sure everybody in this chat at this point is probably like, you had every single right to, and they're probably not wrong.
And someone said, "How do you ignore that many red flags?" And honestly, I was just kind of desperate to be friends with anyone at that point because I had hardly any at the time. I was just looking for someone who was into anime because the couple people I ran into were just really fucking weird. And honestly, at first, she seemed like a normal otaku kind of person that I could tolerate at best. and we did get along. We actually did have some good times together. We used to have anime nights where we would watch anime, and it's actually how I got to watch Madoka Magica. And it's just like something happened over winter break where a gear in her head shifted, or just she kind of did a 360 and changed. So she leaves the room all huffed and angrily, mumbling something about how I'm such a bitch, blah, 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 out of the room. And I finally feel some relief because that's the first time in a long time where I get to go to bed that early and sleep.
Oh my god. And just for the record, people, this is going to be something that you're going to have to eventually deal with if you go to like an anime convention and you're rooming with a bunch of people. That's the type of things that can happen. And maybe not so much the food part, but maybe kind of, depending on if you're like there at the same time or if you're not. But particularly just the part of you're going to be with people that you are either really good friends with, or you're going to find out how good friends you really are. That's that's the one thing I can say about that in particular. It's
Yeah.
just different.
When you see red flags, listen to them. Don't ignore them like I did. So I was 19, 20 years old at this time. I was still a little naive and dumb, and I still kind of am. And I want to generally believe that people have the best intentions and are good, but they're not. A lot of people are fucked up. And she, like I said, she was very manipulative, whatever. However you say that word. Whenever I would never be able to go back into the dorm room with a drink for fast food because she would ask me, why did I say it like that? She would ask me, "Oh, what did you get? What did you eat? How come you didn't bring me anything back?" And pretending she would joke about it, or just like make some comment like, "So I see that you went to Wendy's. I bet that was pretty good, huh?" Yeah,
She wanted
it
a
was.
baconator so bad, apparently.
I don't even think she
Oh,
ate at Wendy's before because all she had was Arby's, McDonald's, and then what if she told me her favorite restaurant was Golden Buffet or
a
Golden
Golden
Corral?
Corral. Oh no, it's an. Oh no, please. I can't.
But so one time she tried to have, because she had some money on her card for some reason because she didn't spend it on pizza, and she asked me if I was going to go out with my boyfriend to bring her back some McDonald's. And if it was anybody else, I wouldn't even do it because I feel uncomfortable with handling people's cards and money. It's just, it feels very weird to me. But she kept on trying to pressure me to do this for her and bring her back some McDonald's or whatever. And I said, I just don't feel comfortable. I'm sorry. That's just who I am. If you had cash, maybe I'd be doing it, but no, I just can't. And she got very upset with me afterwards. She kept glaring at me for the rest of the night when I came back. But um, kind of tying in with the cons, and then I think I'll talk about why we aren't friends anymore. If you want to just, if you want that, if not, I can talk about more because
Yeah,
I keep running on.
no, it's fine. How wherever you want to take this this great
Like
story to.
there's a lot. I had to write down a general timeline because there's just so much to this story, and I think partially why I was still friends with her is that she was a lolcow, my own personal lolcow, and it was kind of great seeing all of this drama firsthand in person. Because just how can you be this way? How are you able to get to that point where you are this person? And it's watching a car crash.
Yeah,
But
it's I've seen a couple, and literally everything you described, but except it's not college. It's just out here in the real world, and there's not really too much of a difference other than she would have to go to class. Um, my roommate would have to go to work, and she didn't work for very long, so she hardly had money. And when she did have money, uh, it would be fast food, and not just like fast food. So I have a very particular beef, no pun intended, with Burger King because I do not like their hamburger. It's just it's very strange. I don't like it at all. So I don't ever eat at Burger King. It's just there's something about it. But she would come in with like Whoppers. And so not only would you get like the Burger King burger smell, but then you would get the onions and the tomatoey smell.
Oh,
And it just would like ferment
yeah.
into like everything. And of course, when you're a bigger person, no offense if you're a bigger person, but things tend to drip and stain your clothes. Just imagine that, but every single piece of clothes that you have is just that oniony smell, and then
Ew.
you just let it sit there, and then when you wash it, it still doesn't come out.
One thing about Sakura is that she honestly did try her best to be clean, but she was just very strange about it. She had everything kind of cherry blossom smelled because it goes back to the whole Sakura thing and being obsessed with Japan.
Oh my god.
And she would wash her dishes with bleach in her bathroom sink, so the whole room would smell like bleach. And at one point, I told her, like, "Hey, you know you're eating off of bleach dishes, right?" She's like, "Oh, that's how you're supposed to clean them." And I just kept my mouth shut and let stupidity run its course.
just just the world is very strange. I I don't know. I don't know what to say to that, to be honest.
Like, she was not a very intelligent person overall. She ended up changing her degree because she came to my college with a bunch of credits and
Oh, I think it cut out. Maybe. I think maybe. Hang on. Hang on. She might have. Uh don't worry. Yeah, if she cut out then no worries. I think the general thing is that roommates just you're going to be with a lot of people. So if you're going to be staying in a hotel with people that you know, or even if you stay with people that you don't know, because sometimes people like they'll bring a plus one or whatever. The best thing to try to do is to obviously get along, but then also make sure that you wash your ass. So I guess that's the main takeaway from all of this. Um, I think she might have cut out. I think it might have been like Discord or something like that. But nonetheless, right now there's an E3 press conference going on. I think it's EA right now.
uh,
Oh, there you are. See, look it, you came back.
I disconnected. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I figured might have happened. But no, it's fine because we can kind of just wrap it up here. I was just telling them that pretty much you want to not have a bad roommate like that because it is
If
just
you
not a
want
good time.
to later expand on this, because like I said, there's so much to this story that I'm not telling. This could be a stream itself at some point if you want me to do it again. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but
definitely. There's a lot of neat material here that I'm sure that we can use. Yeah, so people, if you really want, start a hashtag when Anime Expo rolls around here on July 3rd. Hashtag wash your ass. I really appreciate it. So
wash your ass. Don't have your room smell like pizza and sweat. Don't use bleach with your dishes.
yeah, don't do those things.
Don't watch your anime dubbed.
Yeah, I mean, you can watch anime dub. Just be normal. Be normal about when you watch anime.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Just be normal. but I think we're almost about to 2 hours. We're at like an hour and 59
Yeah,
minutes, so it's fine.
I
But yeah,
know.
we can pick up this wonderful story about your great roommate at some other point, and we'll have a stream dedicated to that, I'm sure. But
Yeah, it'll be
if you guys
fun.
haven't already, I did leave a link to Cherry Guts on Twitter. So you guys can go there and follow her, and I'm sure that you'll have a lot of great time with all of these these great memes that she posts.
I have
I know I do.
an old thread, I think, of my roommate that I list 100, or it was like leave a like and I'll list one thing that my weeaboo roommate did. If you can find that, it's. Ooh,
I think I might have seen that at some point.
I'll see if I can find it. I had to stop it because it was around the time where my certain thread got extremely popular and a bunch of people followed me and a bunch of people started liking it, and it's just, well, it was a little much, but yeah. Uh, Thank you for having
Yeah.
me on. It was fun.
Yep. Never a problem. And like I said, we'll have another stream at some point. But be careful when you go to any anime conventions. I think the next one that's coming up, or the next big one, is Anime Matsuri. So everyone just
Yeah,
be
be careful with
careful.
that.
Yeah, be careful out there. Especially that one is gonna have a lot of protesters. They have the what's it called? Boycott Anime Matsuri. They have a specialized Twitter for that. I'm sure that they're gonna be out there in pretty full force, especially with the Vic situation going on as it is. So be wary of
That's
that.
actually, I'm not friends with my roommate anymore because of the Vic situation, but I can tell that later.
That's fair enough. The whole thing is getting to a point now where we're at the literal
It's a
apex.
mess.
Yeah, it's a mess from both sides, and at this point, it's just like, why? There's no reason to keep fucking beating this dead horse, that kind of thing. So it's just let it be what it is. Even if it goes to court, who cares? Because there's a lot of different outcomes. I'll get into that like a long time later into the future. But just if you guys can, like I already said, I left a link to Cherry Guts on Twitter, so you guys can see that in the description. And go watch the EA Play press conference, because I don't think I'm probably going to watch it. If I get there late, then I'll just catch a recap. It's not a big deal. EA has nothing that they can really
Something fun.
do. Yeah, they got something going on there. So thanks you guys for stopping out, and we'll get another stream together. And then hopefully when Anime Expo does roll around, I want to stream like with my 360 camera, so that way you guys can like click and look around and whatnot. So
Ooh, that's
we'll try to
fancy.
we'll try to figure it out. I don't know how good the internet's gonna be, but we'll get there. And I think the next time that we talk about Anime Expo, it'll be I think we did the travel and the hotels. I think we might cover a different topic, but that's fine. And this stream will be good to leave up because there's nothing copyrighted in it. Smiley face.
Yay.
I know I sometimes have to take them down. It's fine. But you guys go watch those streams, and we'll come back with another one sometime soon.